In this video, we discuss practical applications for burnout and how to recover from it. Hi there friends, welcome back to the channel where we focus on self-improvement, productivity, and making the best possible versions of ourselves. In the first part of this video, we discussed burnout and what it looks like and some of the ways to prevent it. Now let's discuss what to do if you're already experiencing it. First, let's understand that burnout doesn't go away on its own. Instead, it actually ends up getting worse the longer you let it go. If you ignore burnout, then it'll get worse and worse and cause you more harm in the long run. So it's very important that you begin the recovery phase as quick as possible. The other thing you need to know about burnout is that you come out of it slowly. It's not a quick sprint across an imaginary finish line. You need time and space to recuperate, so don't rush the process. People have literally died from this, so don't just brush it off as nothing. And keep in mind that this is based on my own experience with burnout. And when I went through it about 2 years ago. The lessons that I've learned from it may be different than what you would learn from it, and they may not apply to you as well, but I'm still going to give them in hopes that it will help you. Let's cover the 3 parts of the recovery phase that helped me the most. Find the why. You need to first identify why you're burnt out. In most situations, this will be fairly obvious, but in some cases, it'll take a fair amount of time and introspection to uncover this. For me, it wasn't that hard to figure out because I was working a 10-hour day job and making daily videos. I did this for around 100 days in a row, which kind of blows my mind, honestly. Consistent sleep was around 5 hours a night or so my body was physically just done. And at the end of that, I then went to a Bible college for 13 weeks and studied my brains out. So then my body was totally exhausted and worn out, and my mind. Now you have an emotionally drained, physically and mentally exhausted 19-year-old that comes home and tries to jump right back into life. And it didn't work. If you're still working on the why and trying to figure that out, something that could help is to look at anywhere there is resentment. Often feelings of resentment point to something important that is missing. And once you discover the root cause, look at what you can do to solve it. And this is where it's going to look different for different people. So I'm not really going to go into what that exactly will look like for you. Create distance. This one can be a little bit difficult sometimes, but try to create as much distance between what is causing you stress and yourself. The more distance, the better. And for me, I did just that. I packed my bags and me and my best friend went to Canada and visited Banff and all kinds of cool stuff for around 10 days. I brought my camera and I took videos and photos of only the things that I wanted to. And that phrase, only the things that I wanted to, is really key here. I was allowing myself to regain control. And if you watch the first video, losing control is one of the first signs that you're starting to turn the corner to burnout. 10 days in Canada wasn't nearly enough time, but it was at least a conscious beginning. From there, I had to slowly learn how to create distance at home. And this was really, really hard for me because I had to learn how to say no. Saying no to posting videos on YouTube was really hard because that had been a part of my life for the last couple years. Saying no to extra work and saying no to friends and family. That one was especially hard because I couldn't really explain why. You say no to an event and then you spend that whole time just laying on the floor trying to let your mind repair. How do you explain that to someone hey, what'd you do that evening? It's Another key part of creating distance for me was by scheduling times that did not allow for any external input. And I'm talking specifically media and just information in general. Just having times where there was, 10 minutes here where there was no input from anywhere other than just what's happening inside of my mind and letting my mind process and cogitate on what I'm actually experiencing. It can be very easy to feel bombarded. And this was a really key part for me actually, because turning to something like media, YouTube, whatever, would offer a slight release. But then at the end of it, it didn't really help me to fix anything. It didn't help me repair. Whereas just having that silence was actually really critical and actually helped me through that. And I could actually figure out kind of what was going on, what I was feeling, what I was thinking, it was really beneficial for me. Before I give you the last one, I just want to remind you that a video like this takes around 10 to 15 hours to produce. So I really want to thank you for helping support me and furthering me along my goal of becoming a full-time YouTuber. Whether that's through a like, comment, subscription, or just a view on this video, it really helps and it goes a long ways. So Thank you. Lastly, take time to reassess your goals. Burnout can often occur when your work is out of alignment with your values and when it's not contributing to your long-term goals. You can also experience frustration and burnout if you have no idea what your goals are. Speaking of goals, if you haven't already, please check out this video that I made about goals specifically and how to create them, follow through, and accomplish them. I think you'll find it helpful. And back to the trip that I took, part of what that did for me was helping me realize that I was happiest and most content when I was simply being myself and making things that I enjoyed. And if having a tiny no-name YouTube channel meant that I could be happy, I was okay with that. And I think that's when I really realized that having a goal of being happy and enjoying life does not come from being famous on YouTube. And what I found was that when I realigned myself with my goals and my work, there wasn't nearly as much friction in my day-to-day life. Now it goes without saying, but I'm still gonna say it. Be careful with this whole happiness thing, right? Like quitting your job and spending your time, eating Cheetos and watching Netflix probably isn't a great idea either. There are times you have to do hard things that you don't enjoy. You have to grind and all this other stuff. Burnout doesn't always happen because of that. It usually happens because you push yourself into things that you can't control, or you lose control, or you allow yourself to be pushed too far. For me, these things were happening outside of the workplace because burnout wasn't directly tied to my job. Although I did switch my job after that to one that I enjoyed a little bit more, and also one that gave me more free time. As far as this whole happiness thing, like, I think you know what I mean. There's two ditches, so let's aim for the middle of the road here. Now, there's a good chance that while you were watching this, you thought of someone else that could benefit from seeing this video. I would highly encourage you to share this with them. Now, if they choose not to be interested or they don't want to take time to watch the video, that's totally on them. It's not on you. But it's worse yet if people don't have the option to hear. So with that being said, as always, stay creative, and I'll see you in the next video.